have to find the slope. Now, I know that some of you know this. Trust me, it isn't going to hurt you to hear it again. To find the slope, we do y minus y over x minus x. It has to be y over x. I got -6 over -2, or a slope of 3. Now, could I have subtracted in the other order? Did you maybe do 10 minus 4 and 3 minus 1? Yes, you'll get the same slope. Then, you're either going to use this form, which is called point slope, or you're going to use this form, which is called slope-intercept. It doesn't make any difference which form you use. You're going to put 3 in for your slope, and then use one of your points. I used 1, 4, as either your x and y or your x1, y1. So this would be one setup, and this would be the other setup. Either way, when you solve it out, you get y equals 3x plus 1 when you solve it out. Does anybody have a question about that? Okay. 2x minus 13y equals 7. To find the slope of that line, it is so easy. I never want anybody to miss this again. Are you hearing me? We don't miss an equation or a question like this. To find the slope of a line, you simply get y by itself. This will always be the slope if you have y equals. So I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. So -13y equals -2x plus 7. Now I'll divide by -13. I don't even care about that. All I care about is right here, right? What's the slope of this line? 2/13. Got it? Figure out what you missed and fix it so that you don't do it again. Think about it for a second. Now, what's the key word in number 3? Perpendicular. When a math teacher, what are you looking at, Megan Monahan? Okay, I don't care about your grades right now, right? If we pay attention to Miss Ford, our grades will be better, I promise, right? All right, when a math teacher says perpendicular, what do you automatically think? Opposite reciprocal slope. That's what you think, opposite reciprocal slope. Now, what's the slope of the line you were given? -1/4. If you miss that, you're in trouble because y is already by itself. It says y equals -1/4 x. The slope is -1/4. So what will be the slope of the perpendicular line? 4. +4. So you're going to use a slope of 4 and a point of 1, -2. And then you're going to do this or this, whichever you want, using that slope and that point. So for example, y plus 2 equals 4 times x minus 1. I use point slope. Your answer is going to turn out to be y equals 4x minus 6. Now, does anyone have a question about that quiz? Anything on that quiz? We're good? Okay. All right, let's look at the one you took today, the quiz you took today then. I hope you're keeping all these quizzes in an organized way so that you'll be able to use them to study. Here is the quiz question from today. What were the directions? Solve by completing the square. So what did you do first, Jack Rocap? Divided everything by 2. X squared plus 8x minus 15. That look okay to everybody? All right, what was the next thing you did? Let's see, that was this table. Let's get an answer from table 1 back there. What's the next thing you did? That would be you, Bryce Akridge, your table.
You would add the 15 over.
Very good. So far, so good? Okay, table 2 back there. William Ayler's table.
You would divide the 8 by 2 squared.
So 8 divided by 2 is 4
16.
squared, 16, and that's what I add to both sides. Did everybody remember to add it to both sides? Mm-hmm. Good. Okay, table 6 here. What's the next step?
You have to combine one here. No, you square it.
Okay, add these together and get 31. All right, I can live with that. Okay, that's good.
16.
Okay, table 4 here. What's next here? That would be page Cramer's table.
You're gonna take x plus 4 squared.
Perfect. You're going to write this as a perfect square. Absolutely beautiful. Table 3 over there. What'd you do here?
You take the square root, so get rid of the exponent, it'll be x plus 4 plus 3 of 3
Equals
plus or minus.
the square root of 31. And then we move the 4 over, so we have negative 4 plus or minus root 31. Or root 31 minus 4 if you wanted to write it that way. All right? Any question about that problem? Katie?
It's probably an obvious answer, but when it's in square root 31, sometimes you do the tree, and then sometimes it's, but why don't you do it when it's 31?
Well, how would you break 31 down?
You want it.
You
I
wouldn't.
didn't understand figure yet. Okay, that makes sense.
That's why you don't, because you can't.
Okay.
If you can break it down, you always do, but 31's prime, so it doesn't break down at all.
But if the number does one, like if it was like one where you could break it down and the number was on the outside, would you have to add that number to the?
No. Okay, listen to Katie's question. It's a good question. Katie said, what if instead of getting 31 there, we would have gotten 32? So then we would have had x equals negative 4 plus or minus root 32. Now, you would need to break down the 32. So 32, please pay attention to this so we don't make this mistake. 32 would be 2 times 16, 4 times 4, 2 times 2, 2 times 2. So I've got 2 2s, and an extra 2. So that would be 4 root 2. Now Katie's question was, would you add these two together? And the answer is no, because this one is hooked to a root 2 and this one is not. Now, this will never happen in a completing the square problem, but in another problem, if you had 6 root 2 plus 4 root 2, yes, you can add those. That would be 10 root 2s.
Okay.
But if you have 6 root 2 plus 4, no, those don't add together. They're not like terms.
Okay.
Okay? So this is the answer to the question right there. Taylor? All right, we good? Okay. Today, I'm going to modify your homework a little bit, so be aware of that. Make sure I give you the right assignment before you leave, because we are going to change it up just a bit. Today, what we're going to do is talk about, we're going to move on in our note sheet to, we're on page 5.
That wasn't very nice. Do you want half of it?
And we're looking at number 4.
I love you very much.
My brown note. Today, we are going to solve using the quadratic formula. Now, someone impress me. What is the quadratic formula? Can somebody give it to me?
I got
Can I
you.
try?
I actually got you.
Okay, Jabron?
Opposite of b plus or minus the square root of, isn't it 4ac minus b squared all over 2a?
Yeah.
Other way around. B squared minus 4ac. All over 2a. Now, there are many formulas in mathematics. There are some that are absolutely absolutely so critical that we memorize them. You are going to be expected to memorize every formula. This one you are. This is sort of like the Pythagorean theorem. It's just huge. So just like you memorize a squared plus b squared equals c squared, that's the Pythagorean theorem, you're going to memorize that. So if you don't already have it memorized, then that's a job you have to do. I'm going to talk to your parents tomorrow night at Meet the Teacher night, and I'm going to tell them. They're going to say, what can we do to help our children? I'm going to say, get some flashcards, do the quadratic formula. So you got to learn them. So you can sit down with mom or dad and do some math. How fun would that be? Now, what do the A, B, and C stand for? Well, in a quadratic equation, this is considered to be standard form. So if you look at the quiz question we just did, A is 2, B is 16, and C is negative 30. Okay? So when you have a quadratic equation in this form, notice set equal to 0, then the coefficient on the square, this is called the quadratic term, is A. This is called the linear term, that coefficient is B. And this is called the constant term, and that's just the plain number. So all you have to do is make sure your equation is in this form. You take those numbers, plug them into that formula, and you get your answer. And it will work every time. And it is easy. So let's practice. 4A, here it is. X squared plus 8x minus 9 equals 0. What's A? 1. Very good. B is?
8.
C is? You are right on target. So now we're going to take those three numbers, plug them into that formula. Here we go. X equals? Negative 8. Plus or minus the square root of?
8 squared.
8 squared. Now you can write 8 squared if you want. I'm going to go ahead and write 64 because I know 8 squared is 64, but you can write 8 squared. That's okay. Minus 4 times A times C.
So plus 36?
Well, wait. All over 2A, right? Now let's look at that radical thing. So we're at our 64. Now, watch your SIGNs, your signs. You have a negative 4, a positive 1, and negative 9. When you times all that together, you're going to get a positive what? 36.
So it's 100.
So somebody said, adding those together, I get 100. So I have negative 8 plus or minus the square root of 100. And of course, everybody knows the square root of 100 is 10. So I have negative 8 plus or minus 10 over 2. Now this is like yesterday or the day before, I can't remember, someday, where we got to think of this as two separate answers. We got to think of it as negative 8 plus 10 over 2 and negative 8 minus 10 over 2. Does everybody see that because of the plus or minus? So what's negative 8 plus 10? 2 over 2, that will just be 1. Negative 8 minus 10 is negative 18 over 2, which will be negative 9. And there are our two answers. You good? Now, I want to talk about this for a second. Tim, then I'll get your question, Jim. No? Okay. I want to talk about this for a second. This thing under the radical, b squared minus 4ac, is kind of special. In fact, it's so special it has its own name. Does anybody remember the name of it? Maya. What? Oh, okay. In general, what's under the radical is called the radicand. You are exactly right. Specific to this formula, though, do you know what b squared minus 4ac is called? What? It starts with a D. It starts with a D. Not diameter. No, that would be in a circle. Thank you, Jabron.
Give me another one.
Domain.
Oh,
It's called the discriminant.
discriminant.
It's called the discriminant. Now, I am going to ask you questions about the discriminant, so I need you paying attention here and taking some notes. As we go through our examples, I'll be pointing this out. We'll do them one at a time. This particular problem, the discriminant worked out to be 100. 100 is a perfect square. Do you think your discriminant is always going to be a perfect square? No. But it was a perfect square. So that meant when I solved it and got my answers, I did not have a radical. Did you agree with me on that? That means that my answers were what we call rational numbers. So if the discriminant is a perfect square, you are going to get two rational answers. And what two rational answers means is you will not have a radical. Radicals are irrational. If the discriminant's a perfect square, the radical will disappear, and you're going to get nice regular numbers. You're going to get rational numbers. Got it? Now we'll do some more examples, and we'll see what happens when it's not a perfect square. But for now, the first thing you know about the discriminant is, if it's a perfect square, you'll have two rational answers. Okay, let's go to our next example. I'm going to keep this up here because we're going to add to our list.
This word, is this the, are these the problems where you have like that triangle, like, what's it called? Simplification, you know what I'm talking about? Like, if this number and that number all are like, can simplify, is that this type of problem?
Oh, okay, I see what you mean. So if you, I think I see what you mean. Sometimes you'll get an answer like 6 plus or minus 2 root 7 over 4. And if all three of these numbers, not the one under the radical, but all the numbers outside the radical, if they reduce, you should reduce them. Is that what you're talking about? Yes, absolutely. Yeah. This is the kind of thing that could come out of the quadratic formula. You're right. Okay, let's see what happens with this one. What's A?
2.
B? And C. All right, so here we go. Everybody should be able to do this. X equals B. It's negative B. I erased my formula. Hopefully you saw it written down. Negative B would be negative 5. 25. That's B squared. Minus 4 times
And C.
A times C. Now I'm very careful. Sometimes we get excited because we understand something and we make careless mistakes. Katie Thomas, you paying attention over there? So what have I got underneath that radical? I've got 25. It's going to be plus again, isn't it? Plus 24?
49.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Tell me about this discriminant. It's a perfect square. So I'm going to get two rational answers again. This is beautiful. What's the square root of 49? 7. So here are my two answers. Negative 5 plus 7 over 4. Negative 5 minus 7 over 4. What's negative 5 plus 7?
2.
2 over 4, that'll reduce to?
1/2.
Very nicely done, Bryce, thank you. Negative 5 minus 7.
-12.
Negative 12 over 4, that gives me negative 3. Two nice, neat little answers. Again, perfect square, two rational answers. Would you try C? Would you try C at your seats with your partners? Deep in top of them, you doing all right? Okay, let's go. We're doing C. We're all doing C.
I see why you're making us do this one. You gotta take out the eyes.
2 times 2 is.
Remember the eyes, like, if it's a negative 47.
What'd you do under the radical? 4. No, under the radical. Under the radical. Under the square root.
What you do once you get to negative 47?
What? We are.
Did you guys get 47 times?
Okay, let's see. Maya's question leads me to believe something might have happened on this problem. Did you come up with, underneath your radical, did you come up with a negative number?
Yes.
A negative what?
47.
Now, we need to talk about this. Is negative 47 a perfect square?
No.
No. It's in fact a negative number. When you get a negative number as your discriminant, that's this guy right here, Maya, if you listen to her, said, we don't have eyes. What do eyes tell me? What are eyes about? They're imaginary numbers. So you're going to have two imaginary numbers. When you have an I under a radical, excuse me, a negative under a radical, you pull it out as an I. Do you remember that? So instead of having a negative 47, we have I root 47. And that's the answer to the question. We're going to spend more time with I's in a couple days. When you have the square root of a negative, just pull that negative out and write it as an I, and leave the 47.
So can we just have that?
This is all you can do. Now, Maya, I do want you to recognize there are two answers here. It's negative 3 plus that over 2 and negative 3 minus that over 2. You can write them separately, but you could also leave them together, probably. Okay? Got it? All right, next. Let's see what happens on the next problem. Because something different is going to happen here, and I want to finish. I don't know when the bell rings, but I want to get this done.
5 minutes.
Here we go. What?
Like 5 minutes.
Okay, let's go. We can get this done. I want to finish our little chart up there for the discriminant. So x equals negative b. Plus or minus. I'm on question D. Everybody's working with me. 25 minus 4 times A times C all over 2A. I'm in a rush, don't let me make a mistake. Kaylin, don't just copy down what I did. Try to do it on your own and then see if you match me. So what have I got? Negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 25 minus 12,
Yeah.
which is negative 5 plus or minus the square root of...
13.
All right, now let's talk about that.
That's your answer. That's your two answers right there.
That's your two answers right there, Ethan Topham. You're exactly right. Did I get a negative number this time?
No.
I got a positive number, like I did in my first two examples. But what's different about this positive number? It's not a square. So if you get a number that is not a square, if it's not a square, you're still going to get two answers, aren't you?
Yeah.
But they are not rational because they have a radical in them, so they would be irrational. You're going to get two irrational answers. I better write that out because you may not know what that word is. Two irrational answers. Okay, now quickly, I want to finish my table. There's one more thing that can happen. Look at this problem. I don't think it's the next one. I think I'm making this up. Yeah, I'm making this up. All right, so let's do this one real quickly together. X equals negative b. Oh, be careful. This might be the first time this happened. Negative b would be positive 4. 16 minus 4ac. So 4 plus or minus the square root of, what's happening under here?
They cancel out.
They cancel out, so I have 4 plus or minus 0. Now, let's talk about that. What's 4 plus 0?
0.
4 plus 0 is 4. Divided by 2 is 2. What's 4 minus 0?
4.
Divided by 2 is 2. So what happened to my two answers? They're really the same. So if your discriminant comes out to be 0, you get one rational answer. Now kids, I'm going to expect you to know this, so if you have not written this down, you best be writing it down, taking a picture of it, watching the video, doing something. If you want to take a picture of that, I'm fine with it. You've got to know that, because there will be, guaranteed 100%, there will be a test question that says, if the discriminant is 72, what kind of roots will you have? And you will need to remember your chart. 72, is it a square? No. So therefore, there will be two irrational roots. Now, your homework tonight is going to be different. So I need you to listen to me.
Is it still P5?
It's still in P5, absolutely. P5. I'm going to give you some homework problems. I want you to follow the directions. So some of the sections say complete the square, some say do whatever you want, some say quadratic formula, okay? So on P5, you're going to do problem 16, problem 19, problem 21, problem 29, and problem 47. So your homework is what's that, 5 problems? Yeah. 16, 19, 21, 29, and 47. Follow the directions. One of them requires a calculator. Yep. Have a good day, folks. Love you, sorry. I got that in my head. Oh, somebody left a cookie. I got it. All right.